is on the Feast of Tabernacles and will help us to explore the significance as to why the Father required us to celebrate it every year.
All right, so for those that were asleep last night, or, as grown folks will say, Friday morning, there was like a spectacular event that took place, right? I mean, most of you guys probably were dreaming or whatever, but there were a lot of spiritual things going on while you were asleep. All right. For those that never experienced thunder the way you experienced it last night, it wasn't uncommon for those people who live in the southern part, but it was a sign for us to know that we're celebrating the Lord's Day. All right. So this is how you know. Through these signs that the Most High gives us is how you know that we're actually in a feast day. Alright, so you had lightning, you had, thunder with no significant rain. Right, which you don't really have that experience. Usually we have lightning and thunder, there's a thunderstorm. Right? But somehow the Most High was talking last night. Right, so this is how you can identify that you're following the correct calendar. Alright? You might have a lot of different people following all types of different calendars and so on, but on those days that the Most High blessed, there would always be something great about it. Alright, so praise the Most High, we experienced it last night. Alright, so let's go into the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, and let's begin at verse 33.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, reading from verse 33.
23.
And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, The 15th day of this 7th month shall be a feast of tabernacles for 7 days unto the Most High.
Alright, so we're in the 15th day, read on.
Verse 35. On the first day shall be a holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein.
Alright, so this is the day we're on. Alright, read on.
Verse 36. 7 days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Most High.
Read on.
On the 8th day shall be a holy convocation unto you. And ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Most High.
Alright, so next week in a higher way, we're going to have another feast at the center. Now, I wanted to have another camping this weekend, but I know it would have been kind of short notice for most of us, right? So, for those that can continue this whole week, with camping, at your respective places, continue that tradition, continue that custom. All right, you can go home, pitch your tent, still dwell within your booths, right? Read.
Continuing. It is a solemn assembly, and ye shall do no servile work therein. Verse 37. These are the feasts of the Most High, which ye shall proclaim to be a holy convocation, to offer an offering made by fire unto the Most High, a burnt offering and a meat offering, a sacrifice and drink offerings, everything upon this day. Verse 38. Besides the Sabbath of the Most High, and besides your gift, and besides all your vows, and besides all your freewill offerings, which ye shall give unto the Most High, also in the 15th day of the 7th month, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep a feast unto the Most High 7 days. On the first day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath. Verse 40. And ye shall take you on the first day the boughs of goodly trees, branches of palm trees, and the boughs of thick trees, and willows of the brook, and ye shall rejoice before the Most High your power 7 days.
Right, so back then we didn't have the luxury of these wonderful tents. Right? But praise the Most High, we still had the experience where we had to come and clear down the land. Right? Make sure the area is cleared, make sure the area is protected, right? Without any, insects and, creatures and so on. But back then they didn't have these type of luxurious stuff. Alright, so we still have to be grateful and thankful that, you know, we didn't have to go through what our forefathers went through. Alright, read on.
Verse 41. And ye shall keep it a feast unto the Most High 7 days in the year. It shall be a statute forever in your generations.
It shall be a what?
It shall be a statute forever in your generations.
Continue.
You shall celebrate it in the 7th month.
Uh-huh.
Verse 42. You shall dwell in booths 7 days. All that are Israelites born shall dwell in booths, that your generation may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am the Most High, your
Right.
power.
So the Most High is actually preparing us, brothers and sisters, for what's to come. Alright? When we come out here every year to celebrate for 7 days, right, the Most High is preparing us for what's coming. Alright? Eventually we will have to leave our place of comfort and actually dwell in some of these booths that we have. You understand? So get familiar with this type of environment. Get used to it. Don't get complacent anymore. Alright? If you have an outhouse, if you have, you know, to bathe on the side or wash your clothes with hands, you know, this is what we need as a people. We need this type of, you know, this type of understanding. So when tribulation comes, it won't be something unusual to us. Alright, so this is a kind of a reminder, a remembrance of what's to come. This is what our forefathers went through when they went into the land. Alright? They didn't have the big house, they didn't have, you know, the luxurious homes. They were moving from one place to the next. So, most High forbid, this might be a place of refuge for some of us. You understand? So, you know, I'm not saying most High forbid in the sense that we wouldn't come here, but it might be a place where we have to go. So we'll be already familiar with it. Right? Read.
Verse 44. And Moses declared unto the children of Israel the feast of the Most High. That's the last verse.
That's the last verse. So let's read the commentary. Let's go to the book of Nehemiah, chapter 8. Let's begin at verse 1. Let's read the commentary again.
So this feast was meant to be had forever, so that we could bring to remembrance to our future generations that the Most High delivered us from Egypt and caused us to dwell in booths.
Alright, so the Most High will one day deliver us out of the land of Babylon. Alright, or the place known as Babylon. And brothers and sisters, this area is also known as Babylon. This is an extension of Babylon. Alright, so what goes on in America will eventually trickle down here. Alright, so just anything you see going on in America, just know in a couple of months or in a year or two, it's going to happen here as well. Alright, read on.
So,
Nehemiah
chapter 8, verse 1.
Fine.
Verse 1.
The book of Nehemiah, chapter 8, reading from verse 1. And all the people gathered themselves together as one man into the street that was before the water gate. And they spake unto Ezra, the scribe, to bring the book of the law of Moses, which the Most High had commanded to Israel. And Ezra the priest brought the law before the congregation, both of men and women, and all that could hear with understanding upon the first day of the 7th month.
Right, so we know that this feast, the Feast of the Tabernacle, was a command that all males must go to Jerusalem every year when this feast came about. Alright, so we know that we're not supposed to go in that land as yet until Christ returns or until the Most High directs us. But it's still for us to remember it wherever we are dwelling throughout the face of the earth. Alright, so this is what went on in the time of Nehemiah. The men, they still upheld or remembered this feast day. Read.
Verse 3. And he read therein before the streets that was before the water gate from the morning until midday, before the men and the women and those that could understand. And the ears of all the people were attentive unto the book of the law. Verse 4. And Ezra the scribe stood upon a pulpit of wood, which they had made for the purpose. And besides him stood Mattithiah and Sima, and Anaya, and Urijah, and Hilkiah, and Maaseiah on his right hand, and on his left hand Pedaiah, and Mishael, and Melchiah, and Hashem, and Hashbanah, and Zechariah, and Mishalam. Verse 5. And Ezra opened the book in the sight of all the people, for he was above all the people. And when he opened it, all the people stood up. Verse 6. And Ezra blessed the Most High, the great power, and all the people answered, Amen, Amen, with lifting up their hands, and they bowed their heads and worshipped the Most High with their faces to the ground. Verse 7. Also Jeshua and Bani and Sherebiah and Jamim and Akub and Shebita and Hodijah and Maaseiah and Kilita and Azariah. And so Zozabah and Hanan and Peliah and the Levites caused the people to understand the law, and the people stood in their place. Verse 8. So they read in the book of the law of the Most High distinctly, and gave the sense, and caused them to understand the reading.
Read on.
Verse 9. And Nehemiah, which is in Tarsita, and Ezra the priest, the scribe, and the Levites that taught the people, said unto all the people, this day is holy unto the Most High your power. Mourn not, nor weep. Mourn not.
Alright, so nobody should be mourning here. If you want to mourn, go around the corner and mourn and cry and come back. This is a time to rejoice. So there shouldn't be nobody here upset. There shouldn't be nobody here with a bad spirit. No, seriously, this is not the time for mourning. This is the time to rejoice. Read. Read that again.
This day is holy unto the Most High your power. Mourn not, nor weep. For all the people wept when they heard the words of the Lord.
Read on.
Verse 10. Then he said unto them, go your way, eat the fat, and drink the sweet, and send portion unto them for whom nothing is prepared.
Read on.
For this day is holy unto the Most High. Neither be ye sorry, for the joy of the Most High is your strength. So the Levites still all the people, saying, hold your peace, for the day is holy, neither be ye grieved. Verse 12. And all the people went their way to eat, and to drink, and to send portion, and to make great mirth, because they had understand the words that were declared unto them. Verse 13. And on the second day were gathered together the chief of the fathers of all the people, the priests and the Levites, unto Ezra the scribe, even to understand the words of the law. And they found written in the law which the Most High had commanded by Moses, that the children of Israel should dwell in booths in the feasts of the 7th month, and that they should publish and proclaim in all their cities and in Jerusalem.
And where?
And in Jerusalem, saying, go forth unto the mount, and fetch olive branches, and pine branches, and myrtle branches, and palm branches, and branches of thick trees, and make booths, as it is written. Verse 16. So the people went forth, and brought them, and made themselves booths, every one upon the roof of his house, and in their courts, and in the courts of the house of the Most High, and in the streets of the water gate, and in the streets of the gate of Ephraim. And all the congregation of them that were again out of the captivity made booths, and sat under the booths. For since the days of Jeshua the son of Nun, unto that day had not the children of Israel done so, and there was very great gladness.
You see that? So again, brothers and sisters, there shouldn't be any level of mourning or weeping right now. This is a time to rejoice. Even though we are in this type of environment. You understand? I mean, we are not used to this. I mean, some of us, we go up in the mountains every week and so on, but most of us, we are not used to this. You know, it's like this whole weekend been muddy. You understand? We're so used to walking with nice tiles and carpets and all that. Listen, get used to it. You know, feel the ground for the first time. You know, feel what the dirt feels like. So, and despite you are in this condition, you shouldn't be mourning about it. You should be happy. You should be thanking the brother for the opportunity to use his home, to utilize this land. You understand? Praise the Most High, we don't have to go and spend no big set of money to go rent no place. This is how we know the Most High is blessing us. Bless his brother and his father with this piece of property, where this was ordained for us to be here at this point in time. You know, so all praises to the Most High. This is a time to rejoice. Be thankful for it. All right? We would like everybody that's part of the congregation to get used to this. One day you will have to deliver yourself from the destruction that's coming. You understand? Listen, not much people are missing. Praise the Most High for us. You know, for those that couldn't come, they need to be here next year. Most High willing. A lot of you weren't here last year. Alright, so bless you for taking the opportunity to actually come and experience it. And I know it's going to be a life-changing experience. This is what it's supposed to be, a life-changing experience. Alright, let's read verse 5 again.
Zechariah chapter 2 verse 5. For I, saith the Most High, will be unto her a wall of fire round about, and will be the glory in the midst of her.
Alright, so the Most High will protect us, brothers and sisters. Wherever we go, wherever we are, the Most High will protect us. Let's go into the book of 2 Kings, chapter 6, and let's read verse 9. But before we go there, let's read the commentary.
We will be protected by fire round about us, and will be at rest with lots of cattle.
Alright, so lots of cattle means resources, means wealth. Listen, you don't know how fertile this land is right now, brothers and sisters. You understand? So whatever the Most High blesses us with, there's gain there. Look at the land that he blesses us with up in the North Coast. You understand? You know, praise the Most High, we have more land in Gasparilla that the brother blessed us with to plant on. So all these blessings that the Most High has given us, we have to make use of it. Alright? Let's go to 2 Kings chapter 6 and let's read verse 9.
Book of 2 Kings chapter 6, reading from verse 9. And the man of the Most High sent unto the king of Israel, saying, Beware that thou pass not such a place, for thither the Syrians are come down. Verse 10. And the king of Israel sent to the place which the man of the Most High told him and warned him of, and saved himself there, not once nor twice. Therefore the heart of the king of Syria was sore troubled for this thing, and he called his servants and said unto them, Will he not show me which of us is for the king of Israel? And one of his servants said, None, my lord, O king, but Elijah, the prophet that is in Israel, telleth the king of Israel the words that thou speakest in thy bedchamber. Verse 13. And he said, Go and spy where he is, that I may send and fetch him. And it was told him, saying, Behold, he is in Dotah. Verse 14. Therefore sent he thither horses and chariots, and a great host, and they came by night and compassed the city about. And when the servant of the man of the Most High was risen early and gone forth, behold, an host compassed the city with both horses and chariot. And his servant said unto him, Alas, my master, how shall we do? And he answered, Fear not, for he that be with us are more than they that be with them. And Elijah prayed and said, Most High, I pray thee, open his eyes, that he may see. And the Most High opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw. And behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elijah. And when they came down
Right
to
there.
him,
So the Most High want us, brothers and sisters, to experience this so we can put more faith and trust in Him. You understand? Because when we are in a vulnerable state, that's when you have to put all your trust in the Most High. Right now, we are actually at a vulnerable state, you know. Believe it or not. This is all the possessions we have. Right now, this is all you have. God forbid something happen, you can't go back home. This is all you have. So think about all the stuff you left back home, forget about it. So this is where you actually put all your trust in the Most High Father. You're going to take me through, you know, you're going to protect me. You're going to deliver me. You're going to provide for me. You understand? So this is why the Most High make us remember this every year, so we could actually depend on Him over and over and over again, to remember how good and merciful He is. Alright? Let's read the commentary, and let's go to the book of, let's go back to Zechariah. Zechariah chapter 14, and let's start off at verse 16.
The angels who are pure fire came down to protect the people. And once again, the Father will provide the protection by fire in our time.
You see that? By fire. So we know that there's nothing to be afraid of. Alright? This is why the scripture says, put thy trust in Him. Alright? Let's go to Zechariah chapter 14 and let's read verse 16.
the book of Zechariah chapter 14, reading from verse 16. And it shall come to pass that every one that is left of all the nations which came against which came against Jerusalem, shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, the Most High of hosts, and to keep the feast of Tabernacles. Verse 17. And it shall be that whoso will not come of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, the Most High of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. And if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, that have no rain, there shall be the plagues wherewith the Most High will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the feast of Tabernacles. Verse 19. This shall be the punishment of Egypt, and the punishment of all the nation that come not up to keep the feast of Tabernacles.
So this scripture is talking about future and past tense. Alright, so we know that when Christ returns, there will be the feast days. The feast days will continue. So this is saying when Christ returns, all nations that don't come to Jerusalem, they will be destroyed. Let's read that again. Read verse 16 once again.
And it shall come to pass that every one that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King.
That's talking about Yeshua. Read on.
The Most High of hosts, and to keep the feast of Tabernacles. And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King.
Right, so this means you have to do this right now, brothers. Don't wait till Christ comes to remember the feast days. Alright, these feast days are very important to remember and to keep. Read.
The Lord of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. And if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, that have no rain, there shall be the plague, wherewith the Most High will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles.
Right, so you don't want any plagues upon you and your family. So we have to keep these days. We have to remember it. Read.
Verse 19. This shall be the punishment of Egypt, and the punishment of all the nation that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. In the day shall be upon the bells of horses holiness unto the Most High, and the pots of the Lord shall be like the bowls before the altar. 21. Yea, every pot in Jerusalem and in Judah shall be holiness unto the Most High of hosts, and all they that sacrifice shall come and take of them, and seat therein. And in that day shall be no more the Canaanites in the house of the Lord of hosts.
Alright, so let's go to the book of Hosea, chapter 12, and let's read verse 9. Let's get the commentary again.
So once again we will dwell in booths in the wilderness, and it shall be a feast even in the kingdom after Christ
You
returns.
see that? Read that again.
Once again we will dwell in booths in the wilderness, and it shall be a feast even in the kingdom after Christ's return.
Right, so brothers and sisters, consider this the wilderness. Consider this the preparation for the wilderness. Alright? So this is why a few weeks ago, we went over a list of things that you should have. Some of those things you should have with you right now. Alright, so this is one of the highest holy days that the children of Israel had to celebrate. Alright, so we know we have the Passover, which falls with unleavened bread, the Feast of Pentecost, and the Feast of Tabernacles, which all males had to go to Jerusalem. Alright, so you know that whatever's on those days, something spectacular will take place. Alright, so let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 11, verse 11. So this is what is also taking place. The Most High is putting that spirit on us to know who we are, to remember these feast days, and to identify these signs as well. So this is one of the major signs that is taking place today. Isaiah chapter, actually let's go to Isaiah chapter 60. 60 verse 11. I know, 19, sorry. 19, yeah.
What's that?
Isaiah chapter 60 verse 19.
6-0.
Yes.
60 verse 9.
Thy sun shall be no more. Thy sun shall no more go down. Neither shall thy moon withdraw itself. For the Most High shall be thine everlasting light, and the days of thy mourning shall be ended.
Right, so we had a preview, brothers and sisters, on what it's going to be like in the wilderness. That's how deep this day is. We had a preview. Alright, so this is how the scripture says that we will go back under the rod. The Most High is going to deal with us face to face. Alright, where, these things that we seeing like, this power is real. I ain't gonna mess with this, because when you heard those thunder last night, listen, if you heard those thunder, you would be afraid of the Most High. I heard one thunder and that was it. Like, nah, but it's like, tell you. Alright, let's read the commentary. Let's go to stay in the book of Isaiah chapter 11, verse 11.
After the Most High causes us to dwell in the wilderness, there will come a time of rest for our people, which shall go on forever. We shall have Christ for light, and death shall no longer exist for us.
Now, just imagine, again, these are similitudes, brothers and sisters, for you to think about. Alright, because that's how, when Christ returned, this is how it's going to be. You see how bright that lightning was? He's going to be like that lightning coming from the sky. The place is going to turn completely dark, and there's one light, that's going to be Christ. Alright, so this is what the Most High is doing. He's showing the world who his people is. Yo, but I read out that Pops. Yo, I know people are like, yo, what going on by these people, right? Seeing music, I hear all kind of different language, all kind of thing. What going on in the back there? I see trees and things cutting up. I call to the back there. So it's like, this is what is taking place. We like our end sign to the nation, end sign to the world. Read.
Verse 14. Sorry, verse 13. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the
Adversaries.
okay, you also of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim.
Listen, we gotta put aside these differences. We need to put aside these energies, these spirits. We gotta put it aside, man. We shouldn't come here with that type of spirit. It needs to stop. So listen, the Most High is bringing us together, but we putting it asunder. He's putting us together, you know. This is why we're here today. He's bringing us here together. Why are we ruining that? Why are we working against that? Alright, so this is what the Most High wants. He's assembling Israel and Judah, bringing them back as one. Read on.
Verse 14. But they shall fly upon the shoulders of the Philistines towards the west. They shall spoil them of the east together. They shall lay their hands upon Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall obey them. Verse 15. And the Most High shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptians, of the Egyptian sea, and with his mighty wind shall he shake his hand over the river, and shall smite it in the 7 streams, and make men to go over dry strong.
Right, so let's go to read the last, read verse 16.
Verse 16. And there shall be an highway for the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, like as it was Israel in the day that he came up out of the land of Egypt.
See that? So the Most High is going to make a way for us back to the wilderness. Like, you know, you may not see it now, but the Most High is making ways for us. He's opening doors. Alright, while we sleeping, the Most High is awake. Alright, let's stay in Isaiah. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 4, and let's read verse 4. So let's get the next commentary again.
The Father's hand or arm is Christ. We were recovered the first time by being physically led out of Egypt. And we will once again go through the same journey. There shall be a highway through Egypt, through which we shall pass, and also through the Red Sea. We will be in tents once again.
We will be in tents once again, brothers and sisters. We will be like pilgrims, as the scripture says, in the last days. Alright? So we might be here at one point, we might be on the north at one point, we might be in South America at one point, you might be in Europe at one point, you might be in Africa at one point, you don't know. But prepare yourself for it. Alright? Prepare yourself spiritually, prepare yourself mentally, prepare yourself physically as well. Alright? Let's get it. Isaiah 4 verse 4.
Book of Isaiah chapter 4 verse 4. When the Most High shall have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion, and shall have purged the blood of Jerusalem from the midst thereof by the spirit of judgment and by the spirit of burning. Verse 5. And the Most High will create upon every dwelling place of Mount Zion and upon the assemblies a cloud and smoke by day, and the shining of a flaming fire by night. For upon all the glory shall be a defense.
Right, so the same way how that cloud led us out of Egypt, that cloud is going to direct us back to the promised land. Alright, so right now, don't focus too much on getting to the wilderness. Focus right now on preparing for the wilderness. You know, people talking about going to the wilderness. You don't even have your passport. You understand? It's like, you want to get to the wilderness, how are you going to get there? You got to prepare yourself here first. That's the first step of preparation right here. Then it goes to other things. All right? Where are you?
Let's put it this way.
Read on.
Verse 6. And there shall be a tabernacle for a shadow in the daytime from the heat, and for a place of refuge, and for a covert from the storm and from rain.
All right? So right now, that tabernacle is right on your seat. It's within you. So that's where you got to start preparing first. Make sure you prepare yourself spiritually, so when the time comes where you have to leave, it won't be something, you know, you're afraid of. Because that's what is going to keep a lot of us back. Fear. A lot of people are afraid to even come here. There's some big snakes and bugs and, you know, caimans and, listen, there are caimans here, right? Just to let everybody know. Yeah. A few days ago, we saw one in the river. But again, there's nothing to be afraid of. Most High got us. All right, just a couple days ago, you know, I move up a block, a snake right there. You know, so, you know, the Most High make sure, you know, we make sure and protect us. Put it there so, you know, it wouldn't be a problem for us. All right, you'll have the opportunity to protect yourself. All right, so there's nothing to be afraid of. Let's go to the book of, stay in Isaiah 27. Isaiah chapter 27, and read verse 12. Let's get the commentary once again.
There will be another cloud over us like during our journey out of Egypt, the first time, which will lead us and protect us from the harsh elements.
That's right. Let's get it. Isaiah 27, verse 12.
The book of Isaiah chapter 27, verse 12. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Most High shall beat off from the channel of the river unto the stream of Egypt. And ye shall be gathered one by one, O ye children of Israel. And it shall come to pass in that day that the great trumpet shall be blown, and they shall come which will ready to perish in the land of Assyria.
Right, so you see how, you know, how these things work in order? We just celebrated the day for the blowing of the trumpets. That is to warn us. All right, so this is the same thing that happened back then. We had the warning before we left Egypt. Those warnings were the plagues. Those were trumpets, spiritually, to warn the people that destruction was coming. It was time to leave the land of Egypt. We will get those warnings again, brothers and sisters. This is why Christ said in Matthew chapter 24, the things to look out for. So now we have the signs to pay attention to as trumpets. Those signs that Christ gave us, sisters, are trumpets for you to look out for you to take heed. All right? Continue reading. Yeah, read it again first.
Verse 13. And it shall come to pass in that day that the great trumpet shall be blown, and they shall come which were ready to perish in the land of Assyria, and the outcasts in the land of Egypt, and shall worship the Most High in the holy mount at Jerusalem.
Right, so when you go home, Most High willing, when you finish the feast, make sure you know where your tent is. Make sure you have it aside. You know, don't throw it under the steps where something happened, you gotta go dig it up. Make sure you have your tent over in one particular place. In the event you have to leave with your tent, you know where it is. Please, make sure you start preparing yourself, because destruction is coming. Alright, let's go to Revelations chapter 3, verse 14. Yeah, read the commentary first.
After almost dying and going through great tribulation, we will be called back to Jerusalem, but not before going through great trials ourselves to be proven worthy.
Right, so a lot of us will be going through different adversities, a lot of different trials to make sure that we are ready. Because listen, a lot of us, unfortunately, wouldn't make it to the wilderness. Straight talk, Because you wouldn't survive in it.
14.
I'm telling you, some of us wouldn't survive in the wilderness. Because we complaining, we murmuring. If you murmur in this type of elements, goodness, we sure ain't ready yet. You still, no, listen, we got so much nice things, yo. Nice, you still got electricity. You can still charge our phones. Look at this. Look at this. I'm still in luxury right now. I can still sit down and get some breeze.
Running water.
Running water. We got nice, bathroom and all kind of thing. Listen, prepare yourself. Prepare yourself for the worst. All right? Let's get it. Go ahead.
3:14.
Yes.
The book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 14. And unto the angel of the church of Laodicea write, these things saith the Amen, the Amen, the faithful and true witness, the beginning of the creation of the Most High. Verse 15. I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot.
All right. So that's a question that we got to ask ourselves. Are we cold? Are we hot? Are we lukewarm? Are we hot today and cold tomorrow? Are we cold today and hot tomorrow? All right, read.
I would thou wert cold nor hot.
All right.
Verse 16. So then, because thou art lukewarm, neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth.
Right. So none of us want to be spewed out. So we got a decision to make. All right. Either we in this or we're not. We in it to win it, or just bow out gracefully. Just say, you know what, I'm not built for this. I ain't ready for this yet. Give me a few years. Don't take up unnecessary space. Read on.
Verse 17. Because thou sayest, I am rich and increase with goods, I have need of nothing, and knowest not that thou art wretched, and miserable, and poor, and blind, and naked. Verse 18. I counsel thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire, that thou mayest be rich, and white raiment, that thou mayest be clothed, that the shame of thy nakedness do not appear, and anoint thine eyes with eye salve, that thou mayest see. Verse 19. As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Be zealous therefore and repent.
All right, stop right there. So let's get the last scripture. Let's go to let's stay in the book of Revelation. Revelation chapter 21. Let's read the last commentary. About. That'll be the second to last commentary.
After the Most High causes us to dwell in the wilderness, will come a time of rest for our people, which shall go on forever. We shall have Christ for light, and death shall no longer exist for us.
Right, so brothers and sisters, it's time to get ourselves ready. This is what the feast day is all about. It's a time to reflect, it's a time to examine, it's a time to put things in perspective. All right? Am I hot? Am I cold? Am I lukewarm? When you're in your booth, when you're in your tent, start doing some self-examination. All right? Start looking within. All right? Because this is what the Most High wants you to do. He wants you to start remembering your purpose, your function, your responsibility as a people, as a nation. All right? So we all have to work collectively towards this goal on getting to the kingdom. Because that's the ultimate goal, to get to the kingdom of the Most High. All right? Let's get Revelation chapter 21, and let's read verse 22.
Book of Revelation, chapter 21, verse 22. And I saw no temple therein, for the Most High Power Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. Verse 23. And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon to shine in it, for the glory of the Most High did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. And the nations of them that are saved shall walk in the light of it, and the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor unto it, and the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. And they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it, and there shall in no wise enter into it anything that defileth, neither whatsoever worketh abomination, or maketh a lie, but they which are written in the book, in the Lamb's book of life.
Alright, so let's read the last commentary.
Enjoy this holy day, as it is a good time to get our people into the mindset that we will once again dwell in the wilderness, Most High willing, and be free from the overwhelming temptations of the world, to finally bring peace to our vexed spirits. Enjoy your feast, and we love you all. Shalom.
So, brothers and sisters, this is the time where we got to put ourselves in a mindset to work together as a people. Alright, this is the time, and praise the Most High, I saw a lot of unity, but I also see a lot of disunity. Alright, so we have to start, bringing those gaps together. Alright, we need to start, getting to know each other. This is the most time we a lot of us spent with each other rather than the Sabbath.
Sure.
Alright, Most High willing, we want to incorporate more of these types of things, more camping. Alright, like for the pagan holiday coming up, we want to do the same thing. We'll ask permission by, Brother Arya and his dad, if we can come and camp out for Christmas. Alright, separate from that negativity out there and come and have that peace of mind. Alright, but having the peace of mind, is working together as a people. Alright, so let's continue with that mindset. Let's continue with this momentum, pushing forward together, working towards the kingdom. Alright, so I pray that this lesson was helpful. I pray that we all apply these scriptures.
Upon all the glory shall be a defense. Bam, he was a defense. A defense where? A defense for what? 6, and there shall be a tabernacle. Come on. For our tabernacle. That's what this was a defense for. That's where the children of Israel will be. Dwelling safe in a booth, in a tent, a tabernacle. That is freedom.